Hello and welcome to the Stop, Drop, and Knit podcast. My name is Lisa and I am coming to you from Long Island, New York. I have a different type of video for you guys today because I just got back from vacation in Vermont and in New Hampshire. And as you can see, I bought a lot of yarn. So it was amazing. Oh my gosh, I had so much fun. So I just wanted to pop on and share my vacation yarn haul with you guys because I'm kind of eager to dig into some of it. And I just didn't know if I was going to get to record an actual podcast episode this week or not because we're kind of finalizing our move. And so I figured I was going to go ahead and record this little video for you guys. And those of you who enjoy seeing yarn hauls should enjoy this video. And if you don't like seeing that, you guys can just skip over this one and I'll be back with a regular podcast episode very soon. So, oh my goodness. So we went to Vermont, my parents have time sharing up in Smuggler's Notch. And this was actually a vacation that we were supposed to take last summer, and then my mother-in-law got sick. Those of you who are long-term viewers will probably remember that we lost my mother-in-law early September. So we had to cancel our Vermont vacation last summer. So we finally made it up there, and it was glorious. The weather was absolutely beautiful. It was perfect, like mid to low 70s, high 60s, the entire 5 days that we were there. It was amazing. So, I wasn't planning on doing, I was hoping to do a lot of yarn shopping, but I wasn't really planning on doing this much. Things just kind of happen sometimes. Yeah, it's glorious. All right, so I'll give you a quick, I think I'm going to go in order of the shops that we went to. So what's really funny is the day that we were leaving, Friday, I guess, we left on Saturday morning. Friday was actually the start of a Vermont, New Hampshire yarn crawl. And I didn't actually know that, but I obviously did my own Vermont, New Hampshire yarn crawl all on my own without even knowing a few days earlier. So that was just kind of a strange coincidence, but I couldn't have done any more shopping for yarn if I had wanted to. I kind of went a bit overboard. So let's see, we left last week on Tuesday, and I was knitting on my modernist cardie, and I ended up getting the whole body of it done, but I wouldn't have because I realized that I did not pack with me the needles that I needed to switch to for the ribbing of the hem. So we happened to be near Brattleboro, Vermont, which funnily enough is where Wonderland Yarns is located, but we weren't planning on stopping there, so I didn't actually set anything up with them. Next time I will. But I knew that they had a yarn shop on the main street in Brattleboro, Vermont. So I checked their hours to make sure they were open, and we were about half an hour from there. We were going to be going through Brattleboro, so we made a stop so that I could get needles so that I could continue working on my sweater. And it's a good thing I did because I actually finished that portion of the pattern about 15 minutes before we arrived at the yarn shop. So I got the needles that I needed, but I also picked up a couple of skeins of yarn because, come on, you knew I was going to look at yarn when I was there. I can't just go into a yarn shop and get needles, right? So I joked with my husband that I planned it like that all along because I actually already had this size needles sitting on my coffee table at home, and I was like, I'm not going to need those. I don't need to pack any more needles. I should have everything that I need. I forgot about needing to switch to a smaller needle size for the ribbing of my sweater. So I joked with my husband that I planned it like that just to get the first yarn shop stop before we even arrived at our destination. But so I got the needles, which I'm not going to show you because those are boring. But what I found there was this beautiful yarn. And so this is what it looks like. And you guys all know my favorite color is purple. And this was hand dyed in New Hampshire. It's called Olan Gras, I think. Olan Gras. I never heard of it, but it's a yarn dyer in New Hampshire. And not only did the purple color jump out at me right away, but the colorway name is Long Island, which is where I live. It's where I'm from. So this was an obvious choice. So at the first yarn shop, this was called Hand Knits in Brattleboro, Vermont, I picked up 2 skeins of Long Island colorway yarn, hand dyed in New Hampshire. Look at how beautiful this is. It is just so super pretty. So I'm really excited to work with this. They only had the 2 skeins. It is 100% superwash merino wool, and there are 328 yards. It is a 3-ply sport weight yarn. So I don't have a ton of sport weight, so it was, usually I get fingering weight, but this will be a nice diversion from that. So that was the first thing I picked up. Okay, and then we went to New Hampshire to try to find a moose. So we spent 2 days trying to find a moose. We were kind of, the first day we were winging it. We were like, if we go to northeastern Vermont, which is a part of the state that we had never been to before, that's where most of the moose tend to hang out, up by Canada. So we went all the way up the coast of Vermont towards like Canada. We actually waved at Canada. We were so close to Canada that our cell phones showed that we had cell service in Canada. But we don't have passports currently, so we couldn't cross the border. So we just waved at it and then we turned around. But on our way up there, I wanted to stop at a yarn shop that I didn't know about, and that was because the last time we had been to Vermont was before the pandemic, and they only opened, I think, she said in 2019, so which would have been just before the pandemic. So I hope you guys don't mind the sun setting there. It's gonna go down in a little bit, but yeah. So this is called the Yarn Bank, and I forget the name of the town. I want to say it's like St. Josephsville or something like that. But it's in Vermont. It's called the Yarn Bank, and it's like a historic bank. So they have like an old big vault there, and it's really cool. And so I picked up 6 skeins of yarn. So whenever I go vacation yarn shopping, I like to buy local yarn. So either locally produced wool or alpaca or something like that, or yarn dyed by somebody that lives in the state. So, all right, I picked out 4 skeins of yarn by Kingdom Fleece and Fiberworks, and it's hand-dyed yarn, custom fiber processing, East Hardwick, Vermont. And we had driven through East Hardwick, Vermont. So I was immediately attracted to this color. I think this is the one that's called, yeah, this is Fall Foliage, and this is on their Tender Toes base. And it is an 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon, and it is 450 yards. So this is a very generous, beautiful skein. So this could be a shawl. I don't think I'm gonna use it for socks. I'm thinking maybe a shawl or maybe like a little tank top or something. I'm not sure. But this one jumped out at me first. And then this one also jumped out at me, and it's similar but different. This one is called, and it's a different base. This one is called Rusty Truck, which I thought was a really fun name. And it's got like some blues and browns and pinks and reds. It's really cool. This base is called Comfy, and it's 100% British BFL, and it's a DK weight yarn, so it's 246 yards. And so I also don't often get DK weight yarns, so I thought that this would be a good addition to my stash. And then, so there were those two. And then I found these two, and everything is a different base. So I actually got 4 different bases. This one here is Green Mountain Sock. So this one is 75% merino, 25% nylon, and it's 463 yards fingering weight yarn. And this colorway is called Golden Strawberry. So I might make socks out of this one. I don't know, but it's beautiful. I just really loved the shades of pink and orange in this one. And then this one, I was actually thinking maybe I could make a little tank top or something out of. I just thought the colorway was so pretty. The colorway is called Blackberry Balm, and it is on their silky base, which is 55% BFL, 45% silk, and it's 438 yards of a fingering weight yarn. So I could probably get a really cute little tank top out of this. So that's kind of what I'm thinking for this one. So yeah, these 4 skeins that I got from, so this is Kingdom Fleece and Fiberworks from East Hardwick, Vermont. Just absolutely beautiful colors. I'm so happy with those. And then the other two skeins of yarn that I picked out are hand-dyed in New Hampshire, and it's Miss Tory Yarns. And so I picked out these 2 skeins, and they're different bases. This first one is Perfectly Polworth, a fingering sock weight yarn. It's 100% superwash Polworth, 437 yards, and this colorway is called Little Monsters, and it is so cute. It's like a neon green with all kinds of, like, I want to say Halloween colored speckles. Like there's some orange and purple, but it doesn't scream Halloween. I just really liked it. It was really subtle and really fun, and that's what her label looks like. And so I thought that one was so pretty, and I'm really enjoying that I got so many different types of wool. Not everything is just superwash merino, so I'm pretty happy about that. And then this last one that I got from the yarn bank is also Miss Tory Yarns. This is a singles. It's called Soft Singles, and this one is 100% superwash merino. It's 437 yards, and this one is called Bubble Bubble. And I just thought that these colors were super pretty. Kind of more on the blue side than what I normally pick out, but with some like golden speckles in there. So I just thought that was really nice. So these 2 probably would even go well together. They are different bases though, so I don't know that I would use them together, but I could. It would work perfectly fine because they're both fingering weight. So that's everything that I got at the yarn bank. So I highly recommend stopping in there if you are ever in St. something or other, Vermont. I don't remember the name of the town. Here we go, I have the receipt here. So it's St. Johnsbury, Vermont is the yarn bank. So yeah, so that was everything I got in St. Johnsbury. So we did not find a moose that day, but we got some really good tips for finding moose. But by the time we got those tips, it was already past the time that the moose would come out. We did look for them that night. We did go all the way up to the top of Vermont and over into New Hampshire, just a little bit, but mostly we stayed in Vermont that day. Because we were already a bit a ways from Smuggler's Notch where we were staying. But yeah, because at that point it was already dusk, and the moose are out early in the morning at dawn, and then early evening at dusk, like just before the sun is setting. So we just drove back. We had a lovely dinner and found a cute little brewery, and like a microbrewery. I think it was called Dirt Church. So that was really fun. And then, yeah, so that was kind of our day. We did a lot of just driving around and checking, like a brewery, a yarn shop. This is like our perfect vacation. It's just checking out different breweries, going to different yarn shops, and looking for some moose. So that's kind of what we did. So since we had gotten some really great tips, then the next day the mission was on to find a moose, and we were successful. But earlier in the day, so I'm not a morning person, you guys know that. So we were not looking for a moose at dawn. But we decided that we were going to try this very specific part of New Hampshire. My husband could tell you the route. I have no idea. If you guys are interested, just leave me a comment and I will ask my husband exactly where we were when we found the moose. But yeah, that night we found, I was like, I will be happy, just one moose. I really wanted to find a moose because we have been traveling to Vermont for like 5 or 6 years. We've been maybe 4 times, and we always are hoping to see a moose, and we never do. So I was determined, and my husband knows that when I set to my mind to something, like, it has to happen. So I was like, I just have to see one moose. And so we drove back to New Hampshire, and we found a moose. It was far, far, far away.
There he is. I don't have a good angle of him. I can't see him. I'll be like,
There's a hawk, buddy.
I don't care about the hawk. I just want the moose. But luckily for us, there was a woman there who was a professional nature photographer, and she let us snap a couple of pictures that she had taken of the moose on her really good camera. So yeah, I'll insert those so you can see what the moose that we saw, like super far away, actually looked like. So cute. It was so satisfying to actually be successful at that. But earlier in the day, all right, so this part of the story starts actually when we entered Vermont. We realized that we had never stopped at the Vermont Welcome Center, all the trips to Vermont that we had made. I think we were looking for a place to use the restroom, and we were like, why don't we just go to the Welcome Center? We're almost there, and we've never stopped there. Well, at the Welcome Center, there was this amazing display of yarn. From a fiber mill that I had never heard of. It was called Mad River. Yeah. Mad River Fiber Arts Mill was located in Waitsfield, Vermont, I think. We had been to Waitsfield before, but we either didn't know about it when we went, or it wasn't opened yet. Or it was just so recently opened that I just didn't know it was there, because it wasn't like in the main town. It was a little bit down the main street, because it's a mill and you need space for those things and everything. So when we were at the Welcome Center, can I tell you how frustrating it was to like be right in front of a whole display of yarn that was locked behind glass that I could not touch and squish, and oh my gosh. So we decided before we went to New Hampshire, we would spend part of the day visiting this mill, because their stuff looked so cool in the display, and we were not disappointed. You guys, Mad River Fiber Arts Mill was amazing. They had the coolest stuff, It wasn't a huge selection, but they had a lot of interesting fibers, plus they spin their own stuff, and some of it looked definitely more hand spun art type of yarn. So I didn't pick up any of that. I did pick up one thing that was hand spun, or maybe this was machine spun, I'm not sure. No, it was hand spun. So I got 80 yards of this beautiful fiber. It's just, it says wool, silk, hand spun and hand dyed, and it's about 2 1/4 ounces, 80 yards. And I just fell in love with these colors. I thought it was so beautiful. So I picked up that. The very first thing that I grabbed from there was this gorgeous braid of fiber. I think this is just merino, right? Yeah, it's 100% merino wool roving. It's 4 ounces. Look at these colors. It is so pretty. I love it so much. So I'm super eager to spin this up. So I'm really tempted. That's part of the reason I wanted to record this video, because I was like, I kind of really want to spin this up right away. It's so gorgeous. So this very well might be my next spin, but look at these gorgeous colors. They're so happy. They're so vibrant. I love it so much. So that was the very first thing that I saw. And then the next thing that I saw, you guys know my favorite color is this like fuchsia type of color. And what I really liked about the mill too was that they had lots of different local like yarns and fibers. And so this is this colorway is called grenadine, and it's a cabled yarn, and it's 100% Vermont Cheviot wool. I have never worked with this fiber before. It's definitely super rustic, but it is so pretty. So there were just these 2 skeins of it, and so I picked up both of those. I'm trying to show you the variation in the fuchsia colors. So like it's definitely like a tonal variegated situation happening there. So I have no idea what I'm gonna make with this, but this was like, I think this was the very first thing that I like officially decided on yarn wise, like after the fiber. Like I gravitated toward that braid of fiber, and then I mean I was just like on the bright colors and everything. I was like, yes, 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 bright colors. And then the other thing that I saw that's nice and bright, now I could probably just call up Frabjous Fibers and say, hey, I want to try this, but I also didn't want to be like, feel pressured to use it right away, because I don't know how I'm going to use this. So this is Frabjous Fibers, and it's pure silk Thrums fibers. And so this is a 4 ounce bag of silk fibers, or remnants. They're imported from India. It's 100% silk. So I'll show you the back of it. You can probably see a bit better. So there's like a ribbon, some ribbons in there. There's like some really fine silk too. I have no idea how I'm gonna use this. But what it says these silk fibers are remnants from Sari weaving mills, ideal for spinning, wet felting, and needle felting with wool, paper making, mixed media collage, doll hair, quilting techniques, and whatever inspires you. And it says to spin, cut the fibers into manageable lengths, 3 to 4 inches. Spin alone or mix with other fibers, add bits between singles when plying, or create funky colored slubs. So I thought that maybe since, I'm just still holding this because I just wanted to show you the brightness situation I was going for here. I thought maybe after I spin this up, it could be fun to maybe do something with these in the plying process, or maybe a little bit in the spinning process too. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. I don't really know. I have no idea, but I loved the color and I just had to have it. And then the other few things that I found at Mad River Fiber Mill, I got 2 other things there. And this one here, actually the girl that worked there hand dyed this herself. It's naturally dyed with indigo. And indigo is something that I have not yet gotten to dye with or have access to or anything. And I just thought that this was really, really beautiful. And I always like, you know, the fact that I was talking with her and she was really interested in hearing about all the natural dyeing that I do, and she wants to give it a go with mushrooms now. And she and I were just really having a moment there talking about all of our natural dyeing experiments and everything. And so I really wanted to pick this up to support her. It is from Dodge Farm. It's 100% Vermont border Leicester wool. It was naturally dyed with indigo. It's about 150 yards. So I have no idea what I will do with this, but it is absolutely breathtakingly beautiful. And then this other one, this is the last one that I got. I just really, it's so rustic. I love the way it feels. This one is kettle dyed. It's 100% Vermont merino wool. I think it says BAM yarn. I'm not sure. It's about 180 yards. But like, I loved, like, it must be hand spun, this one. I'm not really sure. I just love how, I don't want to say uneven, but it's not uniform. Maybe that's a better way to say it. Between the kettle dyeing and this beautiful mauve color and just the imperfectness of it, I just really fell for this one a lot, and it's super rustic feeling. Yeah, I mean, it's thicker and thinner in spots. Some spots have a little bit more of a twist to them than others, and I just thought that this one was so lovely. So this was all of the yarn that I picked out from Mad River Fiber Mill, and then the fiber were these. So I was especially excited about this trip. And then we found a moose that night, so it was like kind of the perfect day. Okay, so then there was one more shop we went to, and apparently I have been to this one before, but it must have been so long ago that I did not remember it. And it was called Must Love Yarn, and I believe that they have a podcast that I am now going to have to check out. But it's a beautiful open space in, where were they? It is escaping me. It will come. Shelburne. There we go. Shelburne, Vermont. Must Love Yarn is a huge, beautiful shop, and they had so many different locally produced or locally dyed yarns there. It was amazing. So I was immediately drawn to this one. I did pick up some bobolink yarn last summer when we were in New Hampshire and Maine. So I think I probably found it in New Hampshire. But it's breed specific yarn from New England Flocks. It's called Bobolink Yarns. And this one is called Settlement Sock. And it's 75% wool, 25% nylon, and it is 410 yards of a fingering weight. And so all of the sheep that they use here are breed-specific yarns from New England Flocks. So now I don't actually know what breed of sheep these are. It didn't say, right? It just says wool. It just says wool. But I at least know that the sheep are nice and local, and I just really loved this variegated green to teal to purple colorway here. So that was the very first thing that I grabbed. And then I was really drawn to this yarn. I don't know why. It's a bit of an odd color combination, to be honest, but I couldn't put it down. I couldn't stop looking at it. Out of all of the colors that they had there, this one just said, like, you need to take me home. I don't know why. So this is from Hands and Heart Farm, and it's a sport weight sock yarn. And so this is, it says, an off-grid farm in Charlotte, Vermont, where Border Leicester and Romney sheep are lovingly raised for show, breeding, stock, and pets. Now it says Border Leicester and Romney wool is beautiful, versatile, lustrous, and long. It's great for felting, spinning, weaving, and knitting. And so this is blended with a little bit of nylon, and it is 325 yards of sport weight yarn. And so I just thought that that was a really fun colorway. I might just make socks from it. I don't think that this is screaming to me to be in a shawl, but the other way that I could see using this would be as like a contrast color for color work with like a solid base. So if I find a sweater, they also had a lot of solid colorways. So, you know, if I haven't knitted up yet and then find a pattern that I think that this would make a good contrast color for, then maybe I'll pick up some more yarn from their farm in a solid color and make a sweater. Otherwise, it'll probably just be some socks, but I don't know. I gravitated towards, like, the bright pink and purple always get me. And then I just thought like this yellow was kind of unusual. I don't know, it just called to me. So, another thing I picked up there is also a new to me type of yarn. So Legacy Fiber Arts, I have heard of them for a very long time, but I have never had any of their yarn, and they are local to Vermont. And this is called Tea for Two, and it's on their Slub-a-Dub base, and it's a 90% merino, superwash merino, 10% nylon. It's 437 yards. So it's Tea for Two on a slub base. I have never used a slub yarn before. I'm thinking shawl. Probably. Have you guys used a slub yarn? What do you recommend? I'm thinking that this would be really good for a shawl. So hopefully like a one skein shawl project to show off like the really interesting texture of this yarn. But I thought that the colorway was super pretty, and just the slubby texture of this was just really intriguing to me. So yeah, so I added that to my cart. And then the last yarn that I picked up, I don't think that this one is actually a Vermont or New Hampshire yarn. I think it might be, I want to say it might be Canadian, but I'm going to have to look it up to see. It's called Woolens and Nosh, and again, it's a different fiber than I usually get. It's 75% superwash Corriedale, 25% nylon, and it's a 3-ply yarn. It's 383 yards, and yeah, I want to say it might be Canadian, but I could be really wrong about that, so I just don't know. But the colorway is called Pressed Flowers, and it's just this little sock set, and I thought that these colors were really pretty, and even this brown has almost like a little bit of pink in it. It's definitely variegated there, and it's so sweet and pretty. So yeah, so that's my sock yarn set. And then there's two other things that I got there. The first of which, I picked up some hand-dyed Shetland fiber from a farm in Heinsberg, Vermont, called Shadow Dance Arts Farm. And so this is Shetland fiber, but the farm says that it's Shetland sheep, alpacas, Angora rabbits, breeding stock, raw fleeces, roving, and yarn. And so I got two. Sorry, my son is next door playing with the neighbor's kids, and they just got very loud. So I hope that's not too loud for you guys. But yeah, so this is like a super dark, let me pull it out. Lots of purple, you know, because it's my favorite. But I don't think that I've ever spun Shetland wool, so I was curious to try that. So this is like lots of different shades of purple. And purple's my favorite, so I thought that that was really fun. And I've never spun Shetland, to my knowledge. So I wanted to give that a try. And then the other one is also Shetland fiber, but there is, there's some of that purple, but there's also some pink in there. So I thought that I would just use these two bags together. It's 2 ounces in total. I thought I would make kind of like a mostly purple yarn with a bit of pink in there. So yeah, not really sure, but I thought that those colors were super pretty. And then the very, very last thing that I got were some stitch markers from Katrinkles, especially made for Must Love Yarns shop. So this first one has the shop name. It's just an acrylic one. It says Must Love Yarn. And then these are all like Vermont centered, so I thought that that would be a really nice souvenir from my trip. This first one here is like a pine tree with some sheep. And then the next one is like a lake with a boat and like mountains in the background. And then of course we have the maple creamy. I mean, we love the maple creamies. That is like one of the best things about Vermont is the maple soft serve. It is so good. And we went to one place in particular that Must Love Yarn recommended. The Village Scoop, maybe it was called, had amazing maple creamies with like these huge waffle cones. It was so good. So I think that I pretty much got these stitch markers just for this maple creamy one. And then there's 2 more. There's a beer and a slice of cheese and like a cutout shape of Vermont right there. And then the very last one is like hiking in the pine forest. So sweet. So I'm excited about these. You guys, that is my haul. I can also show you this little guy. It is not yarn related, but one of the things that we did for Owen on this trip, dirt bike. One of the things that we did for Owen on this trip was we took him to a bird museum, which was really cool because the guy had actually like hand carved all of these wooden birds and they looked absolutely lifelike. So instead of like the typical museum where you see like taxidermy type animals, these were all wood carvings and they were really, really cool. So I found this little stuffed animal there, and this is a northern flicker bird, and this is actually for my office at my job. My dissertation research, one of the pieces that I played and has become a composer that I have done a lot of research on is a piece by a woman composer, American woman, Vivian Fine. She taught at Bennington College in Vermont, and she wrote a piece for solo flute called The Flicker, and it was about this flicker bird that visited her window all the time. And so that over the last like 6 years has kind of become a very staple piece for me. And so like I collect flicker bird things now, and it reminds me of all the hard work that I did to get my doctorate, and it's just so cute. So this was just a silly little thing that I got to like have as a decoration in my office at work. And that is my Vermont haul. Oh my gosh, you guys, this video is 40 minutes long. I knew it was gonna be a big one, so that's why I decided to record a separate little video for you guys instead of trying to put all of this at the end in acquisitions, because that just would have been too much. So I hope that you guys enjoyed seeing everything that I picked up on my vacation to Vermont and New Hampshire. And yeah, I don't know exactly when I'm going to record a podcast, but hopefully this weekend I will have another one up for you guys. So I'm not sure. In the meantime, though, you guys can enjoy seeing all of the yarn. It's so amazing. I am in love with absolutely everything, and yeah, I love vacation yarn shopping. I don't know. Do you guys do the same thing? Do you guys, tell me in the comments below, do you guys like seek out yarn shops on your vacations and hit up all the local shops? Because we most definitely do. And we do the yarn shops and we do craft breweries, and that's kind of our thing. And then we try to throw a few things in for the child to have some fun too. But we hardly ever get away, so we don't go on vacation very much. So this was super fun, and I indulged way more than I planned to. So, but yeah, all right. I will see you guys soon. I hope you enjoyed this, and until the next video, stay well. Bye-bye.